need to know is all you gotta breathe, 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 breathe. That's all you breathe, breathe, breathe. That's only something. That's only thing you know you gotta do. That's breathe, so you can breathe, breathe, breathe. Breathe in, breathe out, and breathe in, and breathe out. Have faith and no doubt. You're gonna realize that's what life is all about. You just gotta breathe, 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 breathe. There's only something. There's only one thing you know you have
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining the call today. Thank you so much. Just one more minute and then we'll start.
Yesterday, you wish you could hit erase, but you are lucky that way. Nobody's lucky that way. But I want you to stop where you are. I want you to hear your heart, 'cause that's how you stay on par. No need to raise the bar when you're feeling low. Oh, you gotta breathe, breathe, breathe. But don't let it be, 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 be. I hope that you're listening. There's only one thing you know you gotta do. That's breathe, breathe. Life seems like one big test with barely much time to rest. It goes right when you go left. It's more than you can digest, but nobody's gonna die. If you say you need some time to step back and clear your mind, yeah, everyone will be fine. All you need to know is all you gotta breathe, 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 breathe. Let go and let it be, breathe, breathe, breathe. That's only Sunday. There's only one thing you know you gotta do. That's breathe, breathe, breathe. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Have faith and no doubt. You're gonna realize that's what life is all about. You just gotta breathe, 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 breathe. Let it go and let it be. Breathe, breathe, breathe. I hope that you're listening. There's only one thing you know you gotta do. That's breathe, breathe. Yeah, all you gotta do is breathe, breathe. Yeah, breathe, breathe, breathe.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining. I hope you were able to move to the beat, do some exercise, move your body, stretch, do some stretch exercise to wear out the stress of the week. And this evening, we're here together. My name is Ladi Steven. I'm the co-convener of the Breathe platform. And on the Breathe platform, we believe that your marriage, your relationships, your families are to be enjoyed and not to be endured. So we delve into things that pressure the mind, pressure the emotion, and pressure our relationship based on the principles of God's word, based on the principles of sound mental health and wellness, and very practical wisdom. So today we are just going to spend this few minutes together to talk about a very important topic, emotional infidelity. And we hope that the session will be interactive. You will participate. I will speak some, but we will all participate, share our ideas together, interact, and just learn together and share what the knowledge that we have. First, we will start by introduction, but because we're not able to all speak, please could you put your name, where you're joining us from this evening in the chat. We are trying to, thank you. Please help us put your microphones on mute, except you are speaking, please. Thank you. We're trying to show them an interactive session. Please just give us. Yes, Bilonia from Angola, Mufaru from Zimbabwe, Bosse from Nigeria. Thank you everyone for joining. Yes, yes, yes. Let's see if we can. Please, is someone from the Toluwa from Nigeria, May from Zimbabwe. Yes. May was the first person to join. So we are going to have to find a way to get the gifts across to you. Admin, please, can we get the mentee up? Either the mentee or the first poll, if it's able to come up. Yeah, so our first poll is out. What would you like to take out of today's meeting? Let's see what you would like to take out. Please put in the chat what you would like to take out of today's meeting. Don't worry, it will just show. Once you type, you can hit the submit button and it will share. We will see what we all pull together. Okay. Do we have anything? Yes. Okay, let's see our results. Yeah. Okay. I'm not able to see the wordings. So everyone is here wanting to take out something from the meeting. Everybody answered, and that's fantastic, knowing that we are all here today. So when you hear the word emotional infidelity, what's the word? What comes to your mind? What's one word that comes to your mind? Let's put it in the chat. Like emotional infidelity, what's one word that comes to your mind when you hear that word? One word to describe what comes to your mind. Am I seeing? Let me see what's in the chat. One word that comes to your mind when you hear deceit. Yes. Okay, they put the mentee. Okay, so let's do it on the mentee then. Do you see the link that is on? What's the mentee number? What's the code? Do you mind putting the code as well? Because they will need the code. Cheating, yes. Another word that comes to our mind is cheating, deceit, cheating. Any other word that comes to your mind? Okay, the mentee ain't coming up. Okay, we'll just continue with the normal poll. Okay. Yes. So when we talk about emotional infidelity, it's first a matter of mentee ain't coming up. Okay, we'll just continue with the normal poll. Okay. I think, what's that? Okay. So it's first a matter of the heart, and that's what makes it dangerous, right? Because it cannot be seen. It is giving the intimate part of yourself to another person other than your spouse. It is like some people put in the chat, it's a breach of trust, because remember, your marriage vows were to each other. It's a covenant that binds both of you. But with emotional infidelity, you're giving the most precious part of you, which is your heart, to another person other than your spouse. You know, boundaries emotionally are being crossed, right? And people have said, several people hold that to define, if we say what does emotional infidelity mean to you, you will see, just like we just saw a little while ago in the chat, that people, different words come to different people. It's the same way that people define it differently, dependent on your personality, dependent on your culture, but it all means the same thing. Something happening on the inside of you that puts a separation, a wall between you and your partner, between you and that person who legitimately has rights to the deep parts of you. So let us look at some statistics. I okay, maybe before we go, let me see what my slide will do. Yes, okay, let's go to the statistics. Let's just look at generally infidelity and what the data that we have shows. You know, all these statistics, I can round it up into one sentence to say that data has shown that over time, 1 in 3 marriages end up in divorce. So 40% of marriages that experience some form of infidelity will end up in divorce. The data also shows us that when there has been an affair, whether it is emotional or not, or otherwise, the likelihood of divorce is increased by 300%. That tallies with the data that 1 in 3 marriages has been reported to end up in divorce. And I'll just stop here to ask you, let's put in the chat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is your marriage to you? Let's see what we put in the chat. On a scale of 1 to 10, for all of us who are here, how important is your marriage to you? See, all that is against marriages. 60% of cases where divorce is revealed, where an affair is revealed, still end up in divorce. Only about 60% do we see. So what happens? And the top 3 reasons for divorce in the US, and it not necessarily only in the US, ends up in divorce. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is your marriage to you? Yes. Rosie says 10, Toluani says 10. Fantastic. So those are the questions that should be going through our minds. Which part of the data are you going to fall? Is your relationship going to fall under? Under the ones that add to the data for divorce, or those who add to healthy marriages? Okay, so let's also put, let's put in the chat, to you, what's the difference between emotional infidelity and physical infidelity. One word that shows us the difference to you. Like I said, it should be interactive, right? So we are putting, yes, put in the chat to you one word that shows the difference between emotional infidelity and yes, let's see. Emotional, yes. Olufunke says it is emotional. Yes. Other differences that come to you. What makes it different? Okay, while the rest of us are thinking, please feel free to continue to put in the chat. Yes, we see some. Let's see again. Someone put something in the chat. Feelings, yes. Feelings, yes. It happens in the mind. Exactly. It happens in the mind. Yes. Okay. Please feel free to continue to put. So let's see some differences between emotional and physical infidelity. Okay. Please let's mute our mics. So both emotional infidelity involves an emotional, just like somebody said, it happens in the mind. The physical is physical. It involves actual sex with someone other than your spouse. Like I said at the beginning, both of them involve someone other than your spouse. Emotional infidelity often starts very innocently, a conversation, a liking, but then it continues to grow. But physical infidelity is a very distinct event. It's not as gradual as emotional infidelity. With emotional infidelity, the lines are also blurred. It's not easy to quickly catch emotional infidelity, like to define clear boundaries. With physical infidelity, somebody is touching your body, you already, the red flags start going up. But emotional infidelity, the boundary lines are very blurred and not as tangible as when it is physical infidelity. Another difference with emotional infidelity, it is easy to rationalize and say, that was not cheating. I was just chatting. No, I was just spending time with this person. But with physical infidelity, it's easy to pinpoint because of the physical nature of it. We were talking over the week with someone, and I was asking the person, what's the difference? The truth is that both type, or whether it is emotional or physical infidelity, both of them they are sexual in nature. One of the sexual activity is happening physically, the other sexual activity, which we said, it creeps in gradually, but it continues to grow. It happens in your mind. So both of them are sexual. So it's not that the physical one is sexual and the other one is not. No. Both of them involve, like people put earlier in the chat, secrecy and deception. And even though emotional affairs take time to become visible, they are equally as devastating to relationships. They break trust, And even though it starts in your heart, many times emotional infidelity grows into physical infidelity. So it's just a thin line. It's just a matter of time. So how can I know that I'm in danger of emotional infidelity? Can we put some of the signs that we notice with emotional infidelity in the chat? I'll just wait. Let's put in the chat. I'm trying to turn off the sound in my phone. Yes, 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 yes. Let's read what we have put in the chat. How do I know the signs? Dishonesty. Oh, yes. Please, admin, are we recording? Someone is reminding us to please record the meeting. Please, could we check? Admin, help me confirm if we are already recording. Lies. Yes. Another sign is lies, dishonesty. Let me see if there's another thing. Yes, lack of contentment. Yes, lost. Yes. All those things are the signs we begin to see. Yes. Thank you. Some of the danger signs, intimate conversations. Admin, sorry, somebody is pinging to say it's finding it difficult to enter the meeting. Please, could you put on the WhatsApp group the updated link that just takes people straight into the meeting? So intimate conversations, any time that you start having deep conversations with anybody that is of the opposite sex apart from your partner, you begin to put yourself at risk of emotional infidelity. You begin to put yourself sharing deep things. And this is very common in the office, with colleagues, with friends that are becoming even more intimate than your husband, than your wife. You start sharing your dreams that you're not sharing with your partner. I had one experience one time in one of the offices I worked, and one of my colleagues was going through a really deep experience. Like, it was such a painful experience. And every time, the colleague would share with me what the colleague was going on. And I remember one, and I would, try to support the colleague to say, have you thought about this? Why don't you do this? And one day I was speaking with the colleague, and he, shared some really deep and painful things that had happened to him, in the course of his relationship. Over time, he had gotten comfortable talking with me about the issues, right? And then I came back home that day and I was sad. And when I started, my husband was like, what's the problem with you? When I started speaking to my husband about like what my colleague was going through things. I was trying to not speak in detail about it, but just thinking about it, I started crying. The moment I started crying, I told my husband, I'll never speak to this guy again about these issues he's going through. Because I realized that, oh no, this had gone beyond me just listening to a colleague. I was concerned. And these were issues with his spouse. I cannot continue to feel, I can't. Because that's one step in. You're already feeling compassion. You're already feeling deep things, for that person. And my husband was like, oh no. I said no. And that was it. I never had those kind of conversations because you have to watch yourself. And other danger signs, seeking for validation outside of your spouse. When you start enjoying that compliment, when you start enjoying what the other person is saying to you, the other person is treating you better than your colleague or better than your spouse, is saying he notices that you're well dressed. She notices that your perfume is so good when your spouse is not noticing, and you begin to enjoy and relish those moments. You begin to think over those moments. Oh, it's Valentine that person remembers to buy you a flower, but your spouse didn't remember to buy you a gift, you know. Another danger sign is when you begin to keep secrets, like we can see the person in the picture going into a dark room to read a text message. Why? Because your partner is in the other room. That already begins to create emotional distance, because now the time that you should spend with your partner, you're spending it with the other person. And another danger sign is when you begin to compare your partner with that person, wherever that person is. When we begin to have some of these signs, these are like I was saying at the beginning, it's a very wide topic, right? So we're not exhausting, but as we mention some of these reasons, and that's why I say people should continue to put in the chat whatever comes to their mind, so that we can all learn and we can all share. Yes, communication loopholes, lack of transparency. Yes, that's the secrets, dark secrets, when our communication begin to die down. Yes, all those things are danger signs that can predispose us to emotional infidelity. How does emotional infidelity begin? Someone put communication breakdown as part of those signs, the danger signs in the chat. Emotional infidelity needs an access point, something in your life that causes you a form of dissatisfaction. A door must be open. There is a problem at home. There is a neglect. There is something, an emotional wound. It allows. Then we start looking for coping mechanisms, a way to cope with those things that are causing us dissatisfaction. When we move from the pain, the door that has been opened, we're trying to cope, we're trying to find ways. So it doesn't always, like someone asked me, does it always mean somebody set out to do something wrong when he finds himself in emotional infidelity? Not necessarily. So the access points could be genuine reasons, legitimate reasons. And then we start looking for coping mechanisms. In that coping mechanisms, like finding a colleague to talk to, finding someone online to chat with, and it starts from a harmless conversation into something that grows. Then it becomes a negative coping mechanism. Then when you find that coping mechanism, you start to enjoy, you start to stay there, then you enter into denial. Something inside of you is saying, but this doesn't feel right. You'll be like, no, but what am I doing? I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not going anywhere with the person. I haven't done anything wrong. I had an experience one time with a couple that we had to counsel, and the husband did not want to have anything to do with the relationship anymore, and then we had to have these sessions with them. While both of them were explaining, it took a while to be able to convince the man to sit down for a conversation. He was very, very upset. And, you could see the disgust for his wife. And he started describing the wife, couldn't speak so much because he had text messages that were forwarded to him. They showed him an app with which he could read the conversations between his wife and another person. There was literally no way that she could explain her way out of, I didn't do anything, it was just a conversation, because the conversations had migrated from just conversations to very deep conversations. And then after the denial and the justification, we move into the stage, as we said earlier. If it is not handled, emotional infidelity will grow into sexual infidelity. Yes. Elijah is asking if we can get access to the recording. Yes, we will put in the chat links to our social media handles where this is being, I think we're live streaming on Facebook today, right? But usually we use the Zoom call so that after the presentation, we can also go offline where people can ask questions. But yes, you will have access to the sessions. So what are the root causes? Just a summary of what people have put in the chat box, but I just want to highlight a few more. One, long time of separation from each other. And one of the things in these times that is perpetuating this is migration to greener pastures, right? People, I have had to relate with couples in the past few years who the only problem that came into their marriage was because one person migrated. So with extended times away from each other, we find reasons to begin to become close to it and other people. And sometimes this can lead us into emotional infidelity. Another thing to highlight is toxic relationships, toxic environments push people away and they start to seek areas where they can find, softer means, like, you know, and then, like someone said, unresolved conflicts and communication breakdown, past connections, relationship struggles, depression, loneliness, feeling disconnected. Another one is unrealistic expectations of each other. Sometimes some couples, the only problem they have is that one partner has an unrealistic expectation of the other person. And when that expectation is not met, because it is already set not to ever be met, because it is unrealistic, right? That person lives in a state of frustration, feeling unloved, feeling uncared for, and then the emotional disconnection begins to grow. Okay, we thank you everybody who put their comments. So before we go there, can we put in the chat some places where emotional infidelity happens? Where do we see emotional infidelity? Where have you seen? Not necessarily you. Where have you seen emotional infidelity happening? Or where can we be predisposed? Where can we be at risk? Social media. Yes. It's one of the greatest ones these days. Yes. Offices. Yes. Workplaces. Yes. That colleague that dresses sharp. That colleague that has the beautiful, the nice scenting, smelling cologne that every time the colleague is sitting by you, that colleague that brings nice meals to come and share, and then it moves to talking. Yes. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Yes. Okay. Some people have put something. Let me see again. Church, yes. Two people put churches. Yes, like somebody asked 2 days ago. So what if a man is struggling and trying to, overcome a sexual temptation, and then he goes into church, and right beside him is sitting a lady who has all the cleavages out, like in the right places. So church, yes, church is another place. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So let's see some off. Yes, like we have said, digital spaces, social media. That couple that I mentioned earlier, it was a social media conversation Facebook Connect, and in the times that the wife was going through this issue with her husband, she turned to just have these conversations. But unfortunately, a third party was able to access their conversations and downloaded everything and put in an email and sent to the husband. The wife had never really met the person in person, but it was hard, you know. It took the Holy Spirit to be able to give the wisdom to navigate that situation, because all the odds, all the evidences were there, right? Digital space, social media, dating apps. There are so many of them. Whether you want to see them or not, they are popping up on your phone. And there are some online communities these days that also foster secret, emotional, unhealthy emotional bonds. Workplaces, the place where it really does happen, a lot of inappropriate emotional bonds happen in the office, and they start very, 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 very harmless, from this colleague, and then you're just, together. The next thing, after a while, you start preferring the colleague to your partner. Then fantasy, escape, pornography, masturbation, in our minds, like somebody put at the beginning of the chat when we were looking for what comes to your mind. In the mind, you may ask, but how is pornography, masturbation? I'm not doing anything wrong. After all, I'm just doing it to myself. The problem with those things, when you get into them, is that the energy, in fact, when you put all the expressions of emotional infidelity, emotional affairs together, what makes it a problem, what makes it a deceit to your partner, is because your energy, your emotion is one. When you have expended it with someone else, when it is time to give it to your partner, you don't have it anymore. You don't have it anymore because it's already devoted somewhere else. So when you spend the energy, for instance, on masturbation, on pornography, when you are with your spouse is no longer satisfying you. Pornography gives you a distorted view of sex. So when your spouse, as much as your spouse is making effort to please you, you have a picture of those images that you have watched, you know. And with masturbation, you've used up the energy somewhere else, because that thing that satisfies you, you already derived some satisfaction from carrying out those activities, those things that you formed in your mind, and makes you have unrealistic expectations sexually of your partner. Then past relationships, past relationships. I was reading over the week about Prince Charles. How many of us know Prince Charles and his failed relationship with Princess Diana? And Princess Diana always kept saying it was because emotionally he was still tied to the person he had a past relationship with. And there are people like that. Even though they are in a current marriage, they are still emotionally tied to someone in the past, and it affects their current relationship. It's still emotional infidelity. And that marriage between the two of them never was able to work. And Princess Diana always, attributed, when she describes her marriage, she would always describe it as there were three people in the marriage. Can you imagine? Never feeling loved by your partner because your partner is not doing anything physical, but he's involved with someone else, and you feel like the love that your partner should have with you is shared. And usually with past relationships, sometimes the ex-partner did not mean to fall into any emotionally charged situation, but creating an environment, oh, we've not seen for years. somebody from your secondary school now, 15, 10 years later, you're talking like, oh, do you know that you were my best friend at some point? Like, oh, I didn't know. And then from there, oh, how it was so good, you know. And then another is our social circle, ordinary acquaintances, our friends, when we make them to become substitutes for our partner. Remember, it's the opposite sex, right? Except in abnormal situations where it is with the same sex. When we substitute, we start substituting our friends, our acquaintances for our partners, we are already in danger of emotional affairs. What are the mental health impacts of emotional unfaithfulness, anxiety, and stress? Because you can't share, right? This thing keeps stressing your mind, your heart. With time, you get depressed. And sometimes when you're trying to, it feels like death when you're not able to be with the person. So you already start having signs of grieving, and then trauma, addiction, as we talked about, unhealthy coping mechanism, which the person went into with the door that was open, and over time finds that it becomes an addiction. And no matter what kind of addiction that you find yourself into, whether it's substance or sexual or any kind, it is never easy. And then with the trauma being perpetuated, becoming chronic, you can get into post-traumatic stress symptoms. So yes, it does impact our mental health. And as I always like to say, there is no health without mental health. The problem with all these mental health issues is that they don't just stay in your mind. After a while, they begin to impact on your body. You know, as we like to say on the Breathe platform, those mental health issues that people neglect turn out to be the issues that cause those physical health conditions that people are having to deal with, but they are not able to make the connection because it was happening in your mind. That hypertension, that cardiac arrest that person is going through, even possibly some of the cancers that some people are going through started with a mental health issue that was ignored, that was not linked, because it's usually, on the inside of you, right? Yes. So in one word, can you tell us what is the impact of emotional infidelity on relationships? One word that best describe the impact of emotional infidelity on a marriage or on a relationship for those who are courting. One word. Put in the chat. Sorry, our mentee refused to come up today. Destructive, yes. Destructive. Totally agree with you. Hot, yes. It leaves a lot of pain. Unappreciated, yes. So you're putting in all your best, but distancing, exactly. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, everyone. Please continue to put in the chat impact on relationship, like Olufunke put, death, destruction. When emotional infidelity comes, it is there. The end goal is to destroy, to kill that marriage. And as it's affecting everybody, it's affecting the people involved, it's affecting their children, affecting the extended family. It comes to kill. It erodes your intimacy because there's already emotional distancing. When you're emotionally distant, over time it will migrate to physical physical distancing. And like someone put here earlier in the chat, about trust. The trust is destroyed. How can the person trust you? You know, I think it's Beyonce, and what's the name of her husband, that they were confessing. Yes, even though the person is confessing, how will the other person feel? You know, how will the other person feel like, I invested everything. How? Where am I today? How do I trust again? Those are the questions that come, like the foundation of trust. Security, a person starts feeling unsafe in the marriage. And like Bosse put in the chat, emotional wounds that take a lot to heal, take a lot to cause a lot of pain. Okay. In your perspective, what's the first step to addressing emotional infidelity? What would you say? Let's put, what are some of the ways that we can begin to address emotional infidelity? Please feel free to put questions in the chat. Okay, while we're waiting for people to put, how can we be free of emotional infidelity? One, you have to acknowledge it. Yes, people are putting. Close the door. Yes, admit it's a problem. Exactly. Close the door that leads to it in the first place. Yes. Call the problem the problem. Stop rationalizing it. That colleague that you are feeling fond of, that person online that you are chatting with. Yes, open communication. Exactly. Stop rationalizing it, because that's how to stay in that bondage. Yes, I saw someone put it again. Something. Yes, open, truthful conversations. Exactly. We must speak. We must label it. This conversation I'm having on this Facebook with this Mrs. X, Mr. X, this hot babe and this sharp looking guy. No, it is name it. Yes. Find the root cause. Why did you get into it in the first place? Remember that we said, like someone put, as we said earlier, there always has to be a door that was open. Find what was that thing. Are you feeling it? Are you looking for validation? What is making you to get into this in the first place? Why? Like that couple that I mentioned, when we dug deep to find what was causing the problem was that the wife had been hurt some years ago by an issue that happened between her and the husband, and she didn't forgive, and she wanted to look for a way to make the husband feel like, I'm not as, you're not everything to me. And that's how she opened that door. So identify the root cause and take action. Find the patterns. Sometimes some people, they get into some moods. They are in low moods. Then they start looking for a solution. Always remember that your thoughts will lead to feelings, and your feelings will lead to action. So when you want to break the loop of emotional attachment to a wrong person, you have to identify this thing. Where is my thought leading to? What are those thoughts? That's why journaling is powerful, right? Those thoughts that lead you to the feeling that attract you to that person, you have to break the loop. When you start identifying those thoughts, those patterns, those feelings, so that you can break the loop and stop it in its track. Know yourself and develop clear boundaries. Oh, I cannot have these conversations with you. Be clear. I'm very sorry. I cannot proceed beyond this point. Be very, very clear in your conversations and talk with each other. Someone asked me a question that's why I also said, please feel free to put your questions as we start going towards rounding up. If a man is away, we talked about one of the reasons as distance, and then men have genuine feelings, right? Sorry, that it's not moving it back again. Oh, okay. And then he's feeling these things in his body, and sometimes it's painful when the sexual urges come. How does the man control? How does he call somebody? That's looking for a way to break the loop, you know. Someone called me one day, a friend of mine, she called me, she said, Laddie, I'm looking at the shoulder of this person. Every time I see him, I feel weak. Do you know that act of picking the phone to call me breaks something already? But with emotional infidelity, it makes you want to just, not talk about it. So speak, communication, like someone put in the chat, talk with each other and let your boundaries be clear. If you find that you cannot help yourself, please seek help. Seek help. Seek help from your spiritual leaders, from your mentors, seek professional help, seek counseling if you find that you're unable to deal with this alone. Like we said, sometimes all the time when emotional infidelity has happened, and how can I rebuild trust? A question someone asked me, if my partner does not know, do I need to tell my partner? Your partner gets to know, well, you answer that question, but your partner gets to know. Trust is destroyed. What can you do? What can you do? Like we all put in the chat, talk openly, be honest, acknowledge what you have done, and ask for forgiveness. Forgiveness after emotional infidelity is threefold. Ask God, under who you made the covenant of marriage that you broke by getting attached to someone else. For seeking forgiveness from your spouse and forgiving yourself. Because sometimes your spouse has forgiven you, but you are still there feeling dirty and not letting go. Accept you made a mistake and move on. And like Norman put in the chat, break every connection. Break every connection. Set boundaries. Seek accountability. Like that friend that picked up the phone to call me. That's setting an accountability system. Create clear accountability structures around yourself. Because I could check up on that friend, right? And find healthy ways to fill your emotional tank. And I think a lot of this, many times women are more guilty of this, seeking to have your husband, feel your emotional tank. It's never going to be possible that one person can make you feel loved. No. So you have to find other outlets to, fill your emotional tank. Friends, other friends, time away, what other activities, but not put the burden on one person, because that's why we feel like our spouse has failed and we're seeking other avenues to fill this emotional tank. Okay, what is God's perspective on emotional infidelity? Please put, if you're a Christian on the call, help us put a scripture. And if you're not, put something on your faith. What is God's perspective? Does God even have anything to say about emotional infidelity? Jesus put it so perfect in the scripture in Matthew chapter 5, where he says, when you look at a woman lustfully, in your heart. You already committed adultery with her in your heart. So it's the same thing we have all been saying from the beginning. Emotional infidelity, the seat of emotional infidelity is the heart. And it is out to destroy that covenant of marriage that you made to your partner. So it is seated in the heart. The heart, guard your heart. Guard your heart with all diligence. Yes, somebody said, yes, if you look, yes, if you just look. King David, he was on the kings, he was on the tower doing what kings should do. Then he looked and he saw, and he never, he didn't stop looking until he had done the physical act with the person. God cares about what is happening in our heart. He can see and he is interested. He knows that if we don't watch what is happening in our heart, it has the power to defile us. It has the power to cause impurity in our lives and in our marriage, and ultimately lead to destruction, as someone put. As we round up, emotional infidelity is a parasite. It's a cancer. It will start silently, but it will spread, and it will consume and destroy anything within it's around it. Address it now before it infects you, before it infects everyone that is connected to you. Take action today. Okay, what is one thing? Please let us put in the chat one thing that you are taking away today. One thing as we round up. One thing, one thing, one thing is you holding us here now. If you have questions, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. Just in case that you're not comfortable to ask the question openly, you will see among the participants, you will see Breathe. You can privately chat, send the question there, and then we can pull, even though we are not able to answer all the questions because our time is up and we need to stop. We always respect the 1 hour mark. We will reach back to you. There's always a root cause and we need to identify it. Yes, yes, and close that door. Emotional infidelity is a parasite. Yes, it's a cancer. It can destroy. It's a parasite. When malaria parasite enters somebody's body, it will, you can't see it when it's entered the body. Don't open the door. Yes, don't open the door. Flee, flee, flee. Every appearance. Thank you. So as we round up, we just thank everyone for joining the call. Please, if you are here and you would like to continue, if you like to be a part of our community, they are dropping the WhatsApp group chat, the link in the group. Please feel free to click and you will be added to the WhatsApp group. If you would also like one-on-one session, they are also dropping the links in the chat. Please feel free. The one-on-one sessions, we offer a free 15 minutes first session, but all other sessions are paid for. Control and protect your emotions. Yes, control, protect your emotions. And then finally, we would like to start from the 1st of April, a 3-month program for just the women first in the group. As Breathe, we believe in couple counseling, but we are doing this program for women. If you want to improve your mental health, your marriage, and your life in 90 days. we're putting the link on the chat box. We'll also put it on the WhatsApp group, and we'll put it on our social media handles. Please feel free to indicate your interest. It is a paid, it's a paid program. You'll get all the information when you sign up. You'll see the link in this. I'm sure the admin has put it there for the, yes, link to anonymous question. Please, if you have an anonymous question, we will leave this room open for 10 minutes or more for those who want to speak, because after the 1 hour, we will go off social media and we'll just be on Zoom. If you want to stay, we will stay for 10 to 15 minutes extra. We will leave the room open. If you want to ask an anonymous question, you will see among the participants, Breathe. You will see one of the participants is Breathe. That's our admin. When you click the option of send message in Zoom, you will see it will show you send to everyone or send to names of people. So click send to admin, Breathe. And then please also put the link to the WhatsApp for the person who has the anonymous question. If you're on the WhatsApp group, please, you can also send the question directly to me, or you can send to the group admin. Everybody's trained on confidentiality, and we will treat your matter confidentially. If you want the issue to be put on the group chat for people to contribute, we'll also put not you directly so that you will be protected. We will put on the group chat. We recognize that the issues that we talk about in Breathe are very sensitive. That's also why we understand when there are not so much open questions. We understand, and that's why we create as much as we can. The use of Zoom is one of our ways to create a safe space when we go off social media. Another safe space is our WhatsApp group. We also have support groups, but when we do support groups once in a while. And then also on our WhatsApp, you can reach out directly to the admin, and you can also book for one-on-one sessions. All avenues to create safe spaces for people to be able to talk about these difficult things that we do talk about on Breathe, like emotional infidelity. That's why when you joined the call, there was a happy music, right? Because we're going to talk about things that could leave people feeling guilty. Admin, please, I think we are able to go off social media now, just in case people are able to say. Thank you so much, everybody, again, for joining the call. On a scale of 1 to 10, please tell us in the chat